Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Teacher Choice Classroom. Today's lesson is the continuation of our previous lesson, Introduction to Economics and Applied Economics. To view part 1, you may click the link written on the description part of this video. Today's lesson is the continuation of the previous lesson, Economics and Applied Economics. Most essential learning competency. The learners differentiate economics as social science and applied science in terms of nature and scope. Learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, the learner shall be able to know the definition of economics and the basics, differentiate normative and positive economics, distinguish the division of economics, identify the 4 factors of production. These ones were discussed in part 1. So for today, the learning objectives are written in red, and they are: consider economics as applied science. Learn the 3 economic questions. Compare the different economic systems. Analyze the importance of applied economics. Elaborate on the different economic theories. Topics that were discussed in part 1 are the basics, positive and normative economics, division of economics, factors of production. And today we are going to discuss Introduction to Applied Economics, Basic Economic Questions, Economic Systems, the Great Economists and their theories. Question: is economics applied science? But before that, let us define applied science first. Applied science is a discipline that applies existing scientific knowledge to develop more practical applications like technology and inventions. Applied science can also apply formal science such as statistics and probability theory. The answer is yes, because economics deals with the analysis on how members of society interacts with each other on the creation and utilization of wealth. What makes economics an applied science is the formulation of general theories through testing, mainly using data from the past. Applied economics is the use or application of economic theories, researches, and econometrics to real-life situations to make informed economic decisions and of predicting possible outcomes. Ito ay pag-aaral kung paano gagamitin ang mga nabanggit na teorya, pananaliksik at econometrics sa tunay na buhay na magreresulta sa tamang desisyon. The purpose is to improve the quality of life of people, the practices in business, and the implementation of public policies by considering the cost and benefits and human behavior. Sa makatwid, ang layunin ay mapaganda ang buhay ng tao. It may be practiced at macroeconomic or microeconomic levels. Maaari itong i-apply sa isang parte ng ekonomiya or sa kabuuan man. Maaari itinatanong ninyo kung ano ang econometrics. Econometrics is the application of statistical and mathematical models using data. Bali, ang econometrics ay part ng economics na gumagamit ng math sa pagsosolve ng mga problems. Applied economics is characterized by the application of economic theory and econometrics to address practical issues in a range of fields including demographic economics, labor economics, business economics, industrial organization, agricultural economics, development economics, education economics, engineering economics, financial economics, health economics, monetary economics, public economics, and economic history. Ito ang mga sangay kung saan pwede i-apply ang mga economic theories, researches, and econometrics. Most pressing and recurring problems of countries and governments are actually economic in nature. This can be frequently seen on TV news or read in newspapers. Madalas naman na pinag-uugatan ng mga problema sa gobyerno ay kawalan, kakulangan, o maling alokasyon ng mga pondo. Kahirapan at kawalan ng trabaho ang madalas na halimbawa. If people have a deeper and better understanding of economic principles, they become wise decision makers and may help in addressing national economic problems. Economics also helps people understand and assess if public officials run the government and formulate policies effectively. Kung may kaalaman ng tao sa economics, mas napag-iisipan ng tama ang kanyang mga desisyon. For example, we may apply the law of supply and demand to understand why quantity supplied or quantity demanded is high or low, or why prices are high, and eventually what the government can do to stabilize the prices. Ang matalinong producer ay gagawa ng maraming produkto habang mataas ang demand at presyo sa pamilihan. Samantalang ang matalinong consumer ay bibili ng kaunti kapag mataas ang presyo. On the level of the students, knowing the inevitable existence of scarcity may help them realize how to maximize their allowances. Kahit sa level ng estudyante, maaari na ring mai-apply ang economic concepts, gaya ng pagbabudget sa baong pera nila. Next, the 3 basic economic questions. To provide for the needs of the people and to cope with constraints and limitations, societies must answer these basic questions. What to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. Itong tatlong nabanggit ang dapat isaalang-alang sa pagdesisyon sa isang ekonomiya. Why do we need to answer these economic questions? Bakit kailangan sagutin kung ano, paano, at gaano karaming produkto at serbisyo ang gagawin? This is to answer or solve the fundamental problems na scarcity and resource allocation. So doon pa rin ang bagsak sa kakapusan at kakulangan ng pinagkukunan yaman o resources. Pero ano ba itong mga tinatawag na economic resources? Ito ang mga sangkap na bubuo sa produksyon. Economic resources are all of the ingredients needed for production, including natural resources, kung saan manggagaling ang mga raw materials. Human resources, kung saan nabibilang ang mga entrepreneurs and workers. Capital resources, mga makinarya, mga tools, mga kasangkapan, mga factories na ginagamit sa produksyon. Let's study the basic economic questions one by one. First, what to produce? Since resources are limited, societies must decide and prioritize what goods and services should be produced, and later followed by determining the quantity. how many, or how much. Sinasagot ang tanong na ano ang gagawing mga produkto at serbisyo at gaano karami. Most primitive economics concentrate on producing food and shelter. Those are the basic necessities of life. Noong mga unang panahon, ang mga pangunahing pangangailangan lang ang pinoproblema ng tao. However, with the increased productivity and the economy has more available resources which can be used for non-necessary goods such as leisure and education, sa modernong panahon, maraming pangangailangan ang isinasaalang-alang. Given limited resources of labor, raw materials, and time, economic agents have to decide what to produce. Next, how to produce. The method of production that has the highest efficiency and yield the highest output shall be employed or used. Efficiency signifies a peak level of performance kasi sa pinakamura at pinakaunting input, makakalikha ng pinakamataas na kalidad ng output. This should be the right combination of resources and technology to be applied. It minimizes the waste of resources while accomplishing the desired output. Sa madaling salita, kung saan nakakatipid ng materyales, enerhiya, at oras na hindi naman nakukompromiso ang kalidad ng output. Dito din pumapasok ang capital-intensive at labor-intensive. Kapag capital-intensive, ibig sabihin, maraming puhunan ng kailangan para mabuo ang isang produkto. Samantalang kapag labor-intensive naman, higit na lakas paggawa ang kailangan para mabuo ang isang produkto. Next, for whom to produce. Producers must also consider the target market to know the demand in the economy. In a free market like in the Philippines, goods are provided for those with the ability to pay. Kung anong market ang may kakayahan na bumili, sila ang prioridad ng mga producer sa paglikha ng mga produkto at serbisyo. This includes how to distribute those goods and services among the population. Maliban sa tanong na kung para kanino magpo-produce, isinasaalang-alang din kung paano i-distribute ang mga produkto at serbisyo. Maaring may distribution channels gaya ng wholesaler at retailer na dadaanan ng produkto mula kay producer papunta kay consumer. Maaari ring direkta na manggaling kay producer papuntang kay consumer. Next, economic systems. An economic system is a means by which a society determines the answer to the basic economic questions. Ang mga ito ang sumasagot sa mga tanong na what, how, and for whom to produce. Economic systems control the factors of production and the distribution of goods and services. Remember the factors of production? Ano ba itong mga to? Yung apat. Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. These are the four types of economic systems. Traditional economy, also known as subsistence economy, command economy, or the planned economy. Market economy, also known as free market economy, mixed economy, or the combination of command and market economy. First, traditional economy, also known as the subsistence economy. It centers around family or tribe that exists in a hunter-gatherer and nomadic society. Ito ay pangkaraniwang noong unang panahon, ngunit may mga komunidad pa rin sa mundo na mayroon nito. Resources are owned and controlled by individuals. Ang mga pinagkukunang yaman ay nasa kamay ng mga tao dahil wala namang gobyerno o sangay ng gobyerno na kokontrol. This system lacks the potential to generate surplus. Dahil konti ang resources at self-sustaining ang komunidad, wala halos sobra o surplus. Sapat lang sa kanila ang resources. This system is highly sustainable and wastage is very little. Walang maraming sobra at wala ring masyadong nasasayang. Economic decisions are made by the basic principles of demand and supply. Kung ano lang ang pangangailangan, iyon lang ang ipoproduce. There is very little division of labor or specialization. Di tulad ngayon na napakarami ng uri ng trabaho, noon halos sila-sila din ang gumagawa para matustusan ang pangangailangan nila. Basic needs lang naman ang karaniwang pangangailangan. Trade relies heavily on barter. Ang barter ay palitan ng kalakal. Kung minsan, kapag kailangan o palitan para makuha o makamit ang mga bagay na hindi nila kayang i-produce. Some form of currency for trade eventually evolve. Ang currency ay anumang nagsisilbing pera. Gumamit ang mga iba noon ng shells, pilak, o ginto kalaunan. Men and women are given different economic roles and tasks. Ang lalaki ay may takdang papel gaya ng pagiging karpentero, pangangaso, pangingisda. Samantalang ang babae ay tagagawa ng damit, tagapagluto, tagapag-alaga ng mga bata. Examples, Bhutan and IT. Next, command economy. This economic system is also called planned system. Sino kaya ang nagpaplano? Let's find out. The government or any centralized authority answers the basic economic questions and controls the production and the distribution of goods and services. The problems of what, how, and for whom to produce ay sinusolusyonan ng gobyerno. People do not have the power to decide on what, how, and for whom to produce. Ang lahat ng tao ay kailangan sumunod sa desisyon at utos ng pamahalaan. This type is common in communist societies where power is centralized. Ang mga bansang komunista na kung saan walang karapatang bumoto at magdesisyon ang karaniwang tao. Society is vulnerable to economic crisis or emergencies as they cannot quickly adjust to change conditions. Hindi katulad ng isang ekonomiya na malaya ang producer at consumers na solusyonin ang maliliit na problemang pang-ekonomiya. Dito sa command economy, kailangan isang guni muna sa gobyerno ang mga bagay-bagay. Halimbawa, tumaas ang demand sa isang produkto, halimbawa asukal, kakayanin kaya ng gobyerno na kontrolin lahat ng supply sa bansa? In theory, this system works well if the central economy exercises control for the public's best interest, which is rarely the case. Kung teorya lamang ang pag-uusapan, makikitang maganda ang command economy kasi ang gobyerno ang magbibigay ng lahat ng pantay-pantay sa mga tao. Subalit ito ay madalas na taliwas dahil ang tao ay likas na competitive at makasarili. At ang mga namamahala ay nagkakaroon ng higit na interest. Examples: North Korea and Cuba. Market economy, also known as free market economy. Let's discuss the features that characterize a market economy. There is very little government interference on economic activities. May pakialam pa din ang government pero minimal lang or kaunti lang. People have the freedom to produce and or consume in any way and in any amount they want. Si producer gagawa siya ng mga produkto o serbisyo na nais niya at ganoon din naman si consumer bibilhin niya ang gusto niyang bilhin. Most economic decision making is done through voluntary transactions according to the laws of supply and demand. Ang pagdedesisyon ng mga tao ay kusa at batay sa supply at pangangailangan. Arguably, growth is highest under this economic system. Mataas ang produksyon dahil mataas ang economic competition sa free market economy. The distribution of resources is not equitable because those who succeed economically control most of them and amass a lot of economic power. Ito yung typical na ang mayaman ay lalong yumayaman dahil hawak nila at control nila ang mga resources. However, a pure market system does not really exist. Yung pure free market economy na walang papel talaga ang gobyerno ay imposible dahil kailangan ang pamahalaan lalo na sa pag-collect ng taxes at pagbibigay ng serbisyong pampubliko. Because the government inevitably has to intervene through laws and policies. Examples: USA, Japan, and Canada. But what is laissez-faire? Laissez-faire is a French phrase that translates as leave alone. Alin kaya ang pababayaang mag-isa? The less the government is engaged in the economy, the better off society will be. Mas mabuti daw na hindi makialam ang gobyerno sa lipunan o ekonomiya kasi aayos ito naman ng mag-isa kahit magkaproblema ito. Private individuals are unrestrained. They may determine where to invest, what to produce or sell, and at which prices to exchange goods and services. Sa makatwid, walang makikialam sa nais o gustong gawin ng mga tao. The laissez-faire marketplace operates without checks or controls. Walang gobyerno na papasok para umayos. Gaya ng nabanggit kanina, pure market economy does not exist anymore. Government intervention is inevitable. Kailangan pa rin siya. Mixed economy. A mixed economic system is a system that combines aspects of both capitalism and socialism. Pinaghalong kapitalismo at sosyalismo. What is capitalism? Private individuals or businesses own capital goods. Socialism, political system based on public ownership, also known as collective or common ownership of the means of production. Ang ibig sabihin, ang capitalism, pwedeng magmay-ari ng pribado ang mga tao. Samantalang ang socialism, pag-aari daw lahat ng tao ang lahat ng bagay or factors of production, kaya lang ito ay kokontrolin ng government. It protects private property and allows a level of economic freedom in the use of capital, but also allows for governments to interfere in economic activities. Sa makatuwid, parehong importante ang pribadong pagmamay-ari at ang pamamagitan ng gobyerno sa mga gawaing pang-ekonomiya. Most industries are privately owned but still under regulation. However, industries that provide essential services are under the control of the government. Ano ba itong mga essential services? These are the healthcare, education, and utilities kamukha ng electricity at telecommunications na kailangan pakialaman ng pamahalaan. Ito ay karaniwan sa mga European countries. The economic questions are partly determined and answered by the government and the producers and consumers. The challenge is finding the right balance between free markets and the government control. Hindi kasi madali ang pagbabalanse. Yung pakikialam ng government at kalayaan ng mga tao. Governments tend to exert much more control than is necessary. Maganda na nakikaalam ang gobyerno subalit madalas ito ay sumusobra. Halimbawa ng mga bansang may ganitong uri ng ekonomiya ay Sweden, Russia, and China. Next, what are economic theories? To address economic problems, great economists established theories. So what are economic theories? Economic theories are ideas and principles that aim to describe how economies work. Economic theories are statements of a presumed relationship between two or more variables, such as the relationship of price to demand, price to supply, and so on. Ang teoryang ito ay nakakatulong sa tao upang maintindihan ang takbo ng ekonomiya. Ang mga ito ay nagpapaliwanag kung may relasyon ang dalawang bagay tulad ng presyo at pagkonsumo. In principle, the approach to economic theory is divided into positive and normative. Kung matatandaan, na-discuss na sa part 1 na ang positive economics ay based on facts o katotohanan while normative economics is based on assumptions o pagpapalagay. The purpose of economic theories This comprehensive system of assumptions, hypotheses, definitions, and instructions try to explain economic phenomena, interpret why and how the economy behaves, and propose the best solutions to economic problems. Siyempre, ito ang silbi o layunin ng mga teoryang pang-ekonomiya. Tandaan ang word na try kasi mga theories lang ang mga ito, hindi 100% na sigurado na masosolve ang mga problema, ngunit kadalasan naman ay nagbibigay ng magandang resulta kapag ginamit sa pagsolusyon ng mga problemang pang-ekonomiya. Examples of economic theories. Supply and demand, or the invisible hand. Classical economics. Keynesian economics. Neoclassical economics. Neo-Malthusian resource scarcity. Marxism. Laissez-faire capitalism. How about economic models? Economic models may represent economic theories in simplified ways that are composed of diagrams or equations. Through a model, a complex real situation is pared down or summarized to the essentials. Mga modelong larawan bilang representasyon ng mga teorya tulad ng diagram. Mas napapadali nito ang pag-intindi ng mga hirap na konsepto. A good economic model is simple enough to be understood while complex enough to capture key information. Ang isang maganda daw na economic model ay madaling intindihin dahil naibubuod dito ng mahusay ang impormasyon. Examples. The PPF or the Production Possibility Frontier na nagpapakita ng produksyon ng dalawang produkto na pareho ang pinagkukunan ng resource. At para bang nag-aagawan. Kamukha sa larawan na madalas gamitin na example ng products, bala o mantikilya, guns and butter. Sa isang ekonomiya, alin ba yung i-prioritize, guns or butter, wherein guns represent defense, while butter represents social programs. Makikita na nasa curve ang point C, D, and E. Nang ibig sabihin, efficient utilization of production at posible. So walang nasasayang. Samantalang ang point A ay nangangahulugang underutilized production. Hindi naaabot ang potential maximum production at may nasasayang. Samantalang ang point X ay imposibleng senaryo. Another example. Circular flow model. Obviously, madaling intindihin at naibubuod ang economic concept. Dito sa circular flow model, makikita ang household or sambahayan sa Tagalog and firms bahay kalakal. So the firms are providing goods and services. Of course, may kapalit, magbabayad. They have to, the consumers have to spend. Sa kabilang banda naman, the households, they are providing the factors of production, and in return, si firms naman ang magbabayad sa kanya ng wage, rent, and dividends. Therefore, a theory is a more abstract representation, while a model is a more applied or empirical representation. Mas madaling intindihin ang economic model. The Great Economists and their theories. Adam Smith, Karl Marx, John Maynard Keynes, Ano ba ang kontribusyon nila sa larangan ng economics? Let's look at their work one by one. Adam Smith and the Invisible Hand. Adam Smith, a Scottish philosopher and economist, was born in 1723. He is considered the father of economics or the father of capitalism. In his book, The Wealth of Nations, published in 1776, he called this mechanism of self-regulation of economy as the invisible hand, which became the basic idea of free market economy or capitalism. He believed that all individuals act in their self-interest and can produce and purchase by themselves. Sa makatwid, sinabi niya na hindi kailangan ng tao na pakialaman ang kanyang pagbili o paglikha ng mga produkto at serbisyo. Smith also emphasized that new machinery, division of labor, and specialization would lead to higher production and great wealth to a nation. Ayon sa kanya, ang paggamit ng mga kasangkapan, makinarya, paghahati ng responsibilidad sa paggawa, at pagiging dalubhasa ay mga salik na magpapataas ng produksyon. Later during the 1900s, the doctrine of laissez-faire, anchored with Smith's idea, was coined. Gaya ng nabanggit sa naunang slides, ang laissez-faire ay nangangahulugan na kusang magbabalanse at maaayos ang ekonomiya kahit hindi na makialam ang isang pamahalaan. So ngayon, makikita natin na ang ideya ni Adam Smith ay tumutugma doon sa free market economy. Karl Marx and class struggle. Karl Marx was a German philosopher born in 1818. Kabaligtaran ang ideya niya ng kay Adam Smith kasi he viewed capitalism negatively. Contrary to the ideas of Smith, Marx saw instability, struggle, and the decline of a free market economy. In his work, Das Kapital ng 1867, he explained that the capitalist or the bourgeoisie, the rich, the ruling class, make profit by exploiting the labor of the workers, or the proletariat, the poor, or the ruled class. He said that the workers were exploited or underpaid for the value that they worked for. Para sa kanya, may tensyon sa pagitan ng namumuno, ng mga mayayaman, na tinatawag na bourgeoisie, o mga burgis. May tensyon sila doon sa mga mahihirap o pinamumunuan na tinatawag ng proletariat. Nahahantong daw sa pagbagsak ng kapitalismo. So para sa kanya, ano man ang magiging solusyon dito? Marx believed that the struggle eventually intensifies and would lead to the fall of capitalism. To him, the situation later leads to the movement of society toward communism, wherein everybody, through the government intervention, owns the means of production. Sa makatwid, para sa kanya, kailangan ng isang gobyerno o pamahalaan na siyang magkokontrol ng lahat ng aspeto ng ekonomiya, kagaya ng isang komunistang bansa gaya ng North Korea. Sa komunismo, ang gobyerno ang magkokontrol ng mga salik ng produksyon at pati distribusyon ng mga produkto at serbisyo. Sinasabing pantay-pantay ang makukuha ng mga tao. Kagaya ng nasabi dati, na sa teorya napakaganda ng komunismo. Subalit, pag ito ay in-apply, ito ay napakahirap. John Maynard Keynes and the government intervention. He was a British economist born in 1883. Kung kay Smith, walang papel ang gobyerno, at para kay Marx naman gobyerno ang magdidikta ng lahat, para kay John Maynard Keynes may gagampan ng papel ang pamahalaan sa ekonomiya kung kailangan lamang. In 1936, he published his work, General Theory of Employment, Interest, and Money. His most significant work is about the role of the government in a capitalist economy. His works were written during the Great Depression in the US, which questioned the validity and application of Smith's invisible hand or the no government intervention. Sa panahon ng Great Depression sa US ng 1930s, nakita na hindi kaya ng ekonomiya na maayos ang problema niya mag-isa. Yung invisible hand na ideya ni Adam Smith na nangangahulugan na kusang aayos ang mga problema ay hindi nangyari. Sa makatuwid, kailangang may mamagitan or umayos, at ito ang gobyerno o pamahalaan. Ano ba ang economic depression na naranasan ng Amerika noong 1929 hanggang 1939? Ang economic depression ay mahabang economic recession dahil ang economic depression ay pangmatagalang pagkadapa ng isang ekonomiya. So, paano makakatulong ang government sa panahon ng mahabang resesyon? Keynes strongly believed that the only solution is government intervention through government spending by creating massive public works program to employ the idle workforce or the unemployed. This way, the money is put back to the economy and into private sector pockets, ignite demand for goods and services, and pump the economy again. Ang recession ay pagbaba ng economic activities, pagbaba ng demand, kawalan ng trabaho, pagkalugi ng mga negosyo. So sa pamamagitan ng paggawa ng pamahalaan ng mga proyektong pangserbisyo publiko, nakakalikha ito ng mga trabaho at ang mga tao ay muling kukonsumo, bibili ng mga produkto at serbisyo. At ang mga producer ay maeenganyong mamuhunan ulit. Ito ang magiging dahilan para umikot na naman at dumaloy ng normal ang ekonomiya. Ito ang mga references na nagamit sa presentation na ito. You may search them and use them for further references.